G'day, how's going?
I've recently been treating a patient who's suffered some rather terrible trauma. She has effectively shattered her tibia a number of years ago and subsequently has had a full knee replacement. And she came to see me because she's been suffering inability to fully flex the knee. At the moment she's got at best about 90 degrees and previously had up to 110, 120 I think. So I've tried to put together a list of some exercises for her to do because she lives out in the country and it's very difficult for her to get to a local gym or even a good therapist for that matter. So the following set of exercises that you'll see, as I said, are quite basic. But as I was recording them, I realized that some of them are actually more challenging than what meets the eye. So I'll start by demonstrating the exercise, sometimes the full expression of, and then have to peel back. And I just want to clarify that anybody who's watching this, depending on what injury you suffer, these certainly may or may not be appropriate for you. But if you're somebody who's battling an injury that's not necessarily a shattered tibia, as in this patient's case, maybe it's just something to do with restricted range of motion. It could be a meniscus tear, any sort of injury to the lower limb, the knee specifically. These exercises should be of some benefit to you because essentially they're targeting muscles around that area. So I've tried to think of the calves, the hamstrings, the quads, muscles surrounding the pelvis and the hip. And once you start talking about muscles, you start to realize, gosh, it's all interconnected. Your core, your upper body. So anybody who's out there watching this, I'd appreciate your feedback if you've undergone a similar sort of trauma or knee reconstructions. There's a countless number of exercises that you can do for rehab. As I said, these are just what I think are some fairly basic ones to get her started, because it's really important when you are suffering an injury, you will often have restrictions and or pain, and it's quite, the future seems quite bleak. It's like, how am I going to get past this? I don't know how I'm ever going to move my knee to its fullest range of motion again. And that's a little bit how this patient's feeling. And I said, look, it's really important that we actually get you doing something. The way your nervous system works is it starts to demonstrate fear avoidance behavior. Because of the injury that you have or have undergone, your body purposefully restricts its range of motion so that you won't put it in danger of doing the same thing again. And you effectively teach your nervous system or your brain that you shouldn't do a movement of this degree of range of motion. For example, she's struggling to bend her knee beyond 90 degrees. It's possible that she can go further, we already know that, but she's struggling again. So we need to tell her nervous system, it's okay, you've undergone this surgery, it's been a number of years since you've had this injury, you now need to push more back into the unknown ranges of motion, and it's safe to do so. And my hope is that doing these exercises will, if not restore better range of motion, at least give her a bit more confidence that she can do certain things, and definitely get some much needed strength into those muscles. Most of it is body weight. You can add weights where applicable, but obviously to begin with you need to peel back the exercises, mostly do body weight and vary the amount of repetitions and all that sort of stuff. A lot of this will be trial and error. She's going to have to work at it, come back to me and give me some feedback, say I don't like this exercise or I do like this one, and the same will go for you if you're trying that. Again, if there's anybody out there watching this and has some good suggestions, please drop some comments below. I will make an effort to write down these exercises in some sort of readable form, and I'll put it in the description of the video as well. Hope you enjoy. So we'll start with a basic squat. Pretty easy. You can put your hands on your hips, you can put them in front of you, or you can do like a prisoner squat with your hands behind your head. Either way is fine. You might need to start by doing just short little squats to warm up before you go really, really deep. And then as you progress, you can grab a weight and hold it up against your chest and do it like so. If that's too difficult for you, use a hand railing or the side of a wall like I've done, and you can just do little squats, and you can also do one-legged squats as well. This will probably be very challenging for somebody with a knee reconstruction, but see how you go. You can do them very, very small, shallow squats or deeper as you progress. Then you want to move on to lunges. Now, with lunges, you might need to experiment with how far out you put your feet, and also experiment with the depth. To begin with, you may not be able to get as deep as I'm going there. You might just need to actually start in the split stance position and just do some little lunges like that. Even that lunge that I just did then might be too deep. So as I said, just experiment, and there's nothing wrong with doing really shallow lunges in the beginning of a set and finishing with a deeper lunge. This is a step up. I try to do the opposite arm, opposite leg motion. The important thing here is bringing your opposite leg up. As you do that and you sort of extend, you feel the glute on the opposite leg activate a bit more strongly. And as good as it is to kick that leg really high up and arch back, you may not be able to. You might only be able to bring it up to a halfway point like I was doing before. This is just a different angle. I'm using the wall here. Again, if you're feeling pretty frail through the knee, you might need some support from a wall or a hand railing. This is a simple calf raise. I don't like doing it on these aerobics steps because they don't have a very sharp edge. It's much better off the edge of a step. Again, use a handrail, use two if you can, just for that extra support, and you can progress to a single leg. This is the Peterson step up. There's a lot of information on YouTube about the Peterson step up. Mine will be a little short on the technique here, but I just pointed to my foot there. I'm raising that foot up so that I'm not encouraged to push off the toes. The leg that I'm working in this video is my right leg. I start by shifting my weight onto the right leg so that I feel it through the whole foot, lift my opposite toes off, and then I just stand up. I'm just trying to straighten my leg. It works the vastus medialis obliquus muscle. It's the VMO. Here's a glute bridge. You want to aim to get the knees, hips and shoulders in line. I reckon I could be going a bit higher on these ones. I'm being a bit lazy, but it's always hard to tell without a mirror. So just try and thrust your pelvis up towards the ceiling as high as possible. When you get really strong, you can start doing these marching sort of movements. So I'm doing them pretty high there, almost like a high knees. To begin with, you might just try and lift your foot slightly off the ground. This one's called the soldier's marching, and I start by just trying to turn myself into a banana. I'm lifting my pelvis off the ground, I'm pressing through my heels, my hands are offering some support, and I'll feel this through my glutes and my hamstrings. This is where the marching comes in. I'm pushing myself up on the opposite leg, and then I'm raising one leg into the air, kind of like a German troop. This is pretty difficult, and again, perhaps too hard for somebody with a knee reconstruction. So start with the banana boat sort of thing and then see how you go. Finally, this is the Swiss ball hamstring curl. This is a good exercise, similar to the soldier's marching exercise before. If it's too hard to do the curl motion, just do what I'm doing here, lifting your pelvis up off the ground. You'll feel it more in your hamstrings than you would on the previous bridge exercise. If you're feeling confident, then bring your heels towards your butt and you'll feel it in your hamstrings. You can also lift your pelvis up higher as an extra stress on the hamstrings. So there you have it, guys, my very basic knee replacement at-home rehab program for my patient. and it's more of a demonstration as to the type of things you can come up with that are quite easy to do at home. So the first one is the squatting, both legs, single-legged, supported and or weighted. Then you've got the lunges. Just remember to keep the knee in line with the second toe. That's very important. You don't want it deviating outside of that range. That's going to lead to more knee pain. Step ups, you can do them with those high knee kicks. If you do that, you'll get more glute activation. If that's too difficult because of balance or lack of strength, just do them lower. And again, for the same reasons, do them supported if it's too challenging. Calf raises, they're pretty straightforward. Do them off the edge of a step, and you can support yourself with a rail or a wall when you're doing that. Peterson step ups, that's probably the most complex exercise, and if you're looking at doing this properly, you should probably YouTube other videos on Peterson step ups, because it is a bit complex. But you know, if we're going to dumb it really down, you're basically starting with one leg up on a step and you're just stepping up onto it in a lateral motion. Okay, but there's a little more to it than meets the eye. But if you try and copy what I did, you should be mostly on the right track. Glute bridges, we all know glute bridges, they're pretty easy. You can do them with or without the marching. Okay, the marching is either low lifts or higher lifts. The soldier's march, yes, a more challenging one than meets the eye again. And finally, the Swiss ball hammy curls, a really good one. All of that should get muscles around the knees working. And you just want to start light and do the bare minimum and then just progress. You got to do something, get those neurons firing and observe for the changes in the knee. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yeah, thanks mate. Good on you.